In the autumn of 1880, the bells of Blackwood Manor rang across the misty English countryside, announcing another day in the life of Duke Adam. At 35, Adam possessed everything a man of his rank could desire: an ancient title, a magnificent estate, considerable wealth, and the respect of London's aristocratic circles. Yet behind his composed expression lived a man increasingly uncertain about the one thing money could never purchase: genuine love. For nearly a year, Adam had been formally engaged to Lady Abigail, the 27-year-old daughter of an influential earl. Abigail was admired wherever she went. She had golden brown hair, elegant manners, an enchanting smile, and a talent for making every conversation appear effortless. To society, she was the perfect future Duchess. Her family considered the engagement a triumph, and even Adam's relatives praised the match. Adam, however, had begun noticing things others ignored. Whenever he entered a room, Abigail's expression softened instantly. Whenever he left, her warmth seemed to disappear. She was affectionate when other nobles watched, yet strangely impatient during their private conversations. Several times, Adam had caught her speaking sharply to servants before suddenly changing her tone when he approached. He told himself he was imagining things. Perhaps every future marriage contained small misunderstandings. Perhaps Abigail was simply nervous about becoming a duchess. Perhaps the enormous expectations surrounding their union had made them both uncomfortable. Then, one rainy afternoon, Adam received a letter without a signature. It contained only a few lines, written in an unfamiliar hand. "Your Grace, do not marry Lady Abigail until you discover what she says when she believes you are not listening." Adam read the message 3 times. He searched for the author, but no servant admitted delivering it. His secretary suggested it was probably malicious gossip from a jealous rival. Adam wanted to believe him, yet the warning awakened a suspicion he could no longer silence. He began observing Abigail more carefully. At a formal dinner, she laughed beautifully while discussing their upcoming wedding. She spoke about their future home, the charitable work she would undertake, and the children they might someday have. Everyone at the table admired her devotion. But later that evening, Adam passed a corridor near the servants' staircase and heard Abigail's voice. "Do not make me repeat myself," she said coldly. "The silver must be polished before morning." A frightened maid apologized. Adam stopped outside the doorway, hidden by the shadows. Then Abigail added, "And if the new servant girl is as slow as the others, send her away." The conversation ended. Adam walked on unsettled. The following morning, an idea formed in his mind so strange that even he almost laughed at it. If Abigail behaved differently around servants, then perhaps he needed to become one. But there was a problem. A male servant could be recognized immediately by the household staff. Abigail might also remember his face or voice. Adam therefore devised a more audacious disguise. He would enter the household as a young female servant. For several days, he worked with a trusted valet to prepare the deception. His dark hair was hidden beneath a modest bonnet. His aristocratic clothing was replaced with a plain gray dress, a white apron, worn shoes, and simple gloves. His posture changed. His speech became softer. He practiced lowering his gaze and walking with the restrained movements expected from a servant girl. The transformation was startling. When Adam finally looked into the mirror, he barely recognized himself. His valet stared in disbelief before quietly saying, "Your Grace, if I did not know the truth, I would never suspect you." Adam gave a faint smile. "That is precisely what I need." He arranged for the disguised servant to be hired temporarily at Abigail's country estate under a false name. No one questioned the arrival. Large households frequently needed additional hands, especially with the wedding approaching. On his first morning there, Adam entered the servants' quarters carrying a basket of folded linens. He kept his head lowered as Abigail swept through the corridor surrounded by 2 ladies from the neighboring estate. She glanced at him for barely a second. "New girl?" she asked. "Yes, my lady," Adam answered quietly. "Then learn quickly." She walked away without another word. Adam felt something inside him tighten. The woman who had written affectionate letters to him for months had not recognized him at all. That afternoon, Adam discovered another servant who immediately caught his attention. She was 23, with chestnut hair loosely pinned beneath a simple cap and clear, thoughtful eyes. Unlike the other servants, she did not rush nervously whenever Abigail appeared. Her name was Eleanor. She was Abigail's personal maid. Eleanor noticed Adam struggling with a heavy tray and quietly helped him carry it into the dining room. "You are new," she whispered. Adam nodded. "Do not worry. The first week is difficult." There was no arrogance in her voice. No suspicion. Only kindness. Later, Adam watched Eleanor secretly divide part of her supper and give it to an elderly kitchen worker who had been too embarrassed to ask for more food. Adam said nothing, but he remembered the gesture. Over the next few days, he observed the household carefully. Abigail became increasingly demanding when Adam was nearby, yet she behaved sweetly whenever nobles entered the room. She criticized servants for the smallest mistakes and expected Eleanor to anticipate every desire. Still, Adam found no proof of the secret behind the letter. Then, on the 6th evening, everything changed. While carrying freshly pressed garments toward Abigail's private sitting room, Adam heard voices inside. He stopped. Abigail was speaking, and the words that followed made his blood run cold. For the first time, Adam realized that the truth he had come searching for might be far more painful than he had ever imagined. He remained still behind the door, forcing himself not to breathe. Whatever Abigail was about to reveal, Adam knew his life would never return to certainty or peace again. The voices inside the sitting room grew clearer as Adam remained motionless in the corridor. Rain tapped softly against the tall windows, and the distant ticking of a grandfather clock seemed painfully loud. He knew he should leave before someone discovered him, yet something in Abigail's tone held him there. "You worry too much," Abigail said. A man's voice answered her. "And you underestimate the danger. Once you marry the Duke, there will be no need to continue this deception." Adam's heart stopped. A man. He pressed himself against the wall, barely breathing. Abigail laughed softly. "There is no deception if everyone believes what I tell them. Adam trusts you completely. That is why everything will be easy." The word struck Adam harder than any physical blow. Now he was standing outside a door, dressed as a servant girl, listening to the woman he intended to marry speak about his trust, as though it were weakness. The stranger lowered his voice. "And after the wedding?" "After the wedding," Abigail replied, "I will finally have what I deserve. The title, the estate, the London house, and control over the family accounts. He is so eager to please me that he will sign anything I place before him." Adam's fingers curled tightly beneath his gloves. There was a pause. Then the man asked, "And if he discovers the truth?" Abigail's voice became colder. "He will not." Adam felt the floor beneath him seem unreal. "What about the letters?" the man continued. "You promised they were destroyed." "They were." "And the money transferred from your father's creditors?" Abigail hesitated. "Nobody knows." Adam's mind raced. He suddenly understood that the anonymous warning had not been a cruel rumor. Someone had known. Someone had tried to save him. The conversation continued. Abigail explained that her family was in serious financial difficulty. Their debts had grown beyond what her father could repay. The marriage to Adam was not merely advantageous, it was their escape. Once she became Duchess, she intended to use Adam's wealth to settle her family's obligations while keeping control of the fortune she accumulated afterward. But there was more. The stranger reminded her of another secret, one involving forged documents and money already taken from accounts connected to Adam's estate. Adam's stomach tightened. He had never imagined Abigail capable of such calculated betrayal. Then came the sentence that broke whatever remained of his hope. "You know I never loved him," Abigail said. "I tried to pretend, but the man is so desperate for affection that he mistakes obedience for devotion." Adam closed his eyes. He wanted to be furious. He wanted to confront Abigail immediately. Most of all, he wanted the conversation he had heard to be a nightmare. But the evidence was real. Adam stepped backward. His heel almost touched a small brass vase. He caught it before it fell. Inside the room, Abigail stopped speaking. "Did you hear something?" Adam moved instantly. He carried the basket of garments toward the opposite corridor, lowering his head and pretending to hurry. Seconds later, Abigail opened the sitting room door. "Girl." Adam turned. Abigail studied him suspiciously. "Where are you going?" "To the linen room, my lady." "Come here." Adam obeyed. She looked directly into his disguised face, but recognition never came. "You are new." "Yes, my lady." "Then remember that servants do not wander near private rooms." "I apologize." Abigail dismissed him with an irritated gesture. Adam continued walking until he reached the servants' staircase. Only then did he allow himself to breathe. He descended into the lower corridor and entered an unused storage room. There, alone in the darkness, the Duke finally allowed the pain to reach him. He sat on an old wooden crate and covered his face with both hands. Eleanor sat nearby. "You do not have to tell me what happened," she said. "But whatever it is, you should not carry it alone." Adam looked at her. For the first time since hearing Abigail's confession, someone had spoken to him without wanting anything from him. He wondered how such kindness could exist in a household where cruelty had become ordinary. Eleanor quietly told Adam that Abigail had once ordered her to deliver an envelope to a lawyer in London. Eleanor had refused because she suspected something improper. Abigail had threatened to dismiss her. Adam asked what had happened next. "She kept the envelope," Eleanor replied. "But I remember the name on the seal." The name matched one Adam had heard during the conversation. His suspicion became certainty. Yet something else troubled him. Abigail's cruelty toward Eleanor was becoming increasingly personal. She accused her of stealing jewelry, although there was no evidence. She blamed her for misplaced letters and deliberately embarrassed her before visiting aristocrats. Adam began protecting Eleanor subtly, correcting false accusations before they could become serious. Eleanor noticed. "You are very strange for a new servant," she said one evening. Adam smiled carefully. "And you are very observant." She smiled back. "I have learned to be." For a brief moment, Adam forgot his heartbreak. Then footsteps sounded outside. Abigail entered the room unexpectedly. Her eyes moved from Eleanor to Adam. "Both of you," she said coldly. "Come with me." Adam's stomach tightened. Abigail had discovered something. And this time, he feared she might discover everything. Adam and Eleanor followed Abigail through the candlelit corridor toward the grand drawing room. Abigail walked quickly, her silk gown whispering against the polished floor, while Eleanor kept her eyes lowered. Adam sensed danger. The Duchess-to-be had the expression of someone who had already made a decision. Inside the drawing room, Abigail dismissed the other servants. Only the three of them remained. "I have noticed," Abigail said, turning toward Eleanor, "that you have become unusually friendly with the new girl." Eleanor looked confused. "My lady, you heard me." Adam remained silent. Abigail stepped closer to Eleanor. "You have always been curious. That quality will eventually cause trouble. I have done nothing wrong. Perhaps. But I have decided that your services are no longer required." Eleanor's face went pale. Adam felt anger rise within him, but he forced himself to remain disguised. "You cannot dismiss me without reason," Eleanor said quietly. "I am Lady Abigail. I require no explanation." She turned toward Adam. "And you, leave." Adam bowed and walked outside. Eleanor emerged several minutes later, carrying a small bundle of belongings. "I am sorry," Adam whispered. Eleanor looked at him sadly. "There is nothing you can do." Adam wanted to tell her everything. Instead, he said, "Perhaps there is." Eleanor looked startled. That evening, Adam returned to the hidden room where he had kept the clothing belonging to his true identity. He changed quietly, removed the bonnet and dress, and became Duke Adam once more. When Eleanor saw him the next morning, she nearly dropped the tray in her hands. "Your Grace." Adam nodded. Shock filled her face. "You were the servant girl." "Yes." "But why?" "Because I needed to know the truth." Eleanor stared at him for several moments. "You deceived everyone." "I did." "And me." "Yes." She looked hurt. Adam lowered his head. "I am sorry. I never intended to harm you." Eleanor placed the tray down. "What did you discover?" enough to end my engagement. He told her about the conversation he had overheard, the financial schemes, the forged documents, and Abigail's admission that she had never loved him. Eleanor listened without interruption. When he finished, she whispered, "I suspected she was hiding something, but I never imagined this." "You knew about the envelope?" "Yes." "Why did you not tell anyone?" "Because nobody would have believed a maid over a noblewoman." Adam understood. That single sentence revealed the injustice Eleanor had endured for years. "I believe you," he said. Her eyes met his. Those 3 words affected her more deeply than any grand promise. Adam began investigating the evidence through his solicitor. A London lawyer confirmed that several signatures had been forged. The evidence was undeniable. Yet Adam did not immediately expose Abigail. He wanted to understand everything before confronting her. Meanwhile, Abigail became increasingly desperate. She discovered that Adam had been investigating her affairs and demanded an explanation. "I am your fiancée," she said during a private meeting. "You owe me honesty." Adam looked at her calmly. "I could say the same." Her expression changed. "What does that mean?" "It means I know about the money." Abigail froze. "What money?" "The money transferred through the London solicitor. The forged documents. The debts your family concealed." For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Abigail laughed nervously. "You have been listening to gossip." "No." Adam placed copies of the documents on the table. Her face drained of color. "You cannot prove those are connected to me." "I already have." Abigail stood. "You would destroy our marriage over accusations?" Adam looked at her with deep sadness. "No. You destroyed our marriage long before I discovered the truth." She stepped closer. "You still love me?" Adam shook his head. "I loved the woman I believed you were." Abigail's eyes hardened. "And who will believe you when you tell them a duke secretly disguised himself as a servant?" Adam answered quietly, "I do not need them to believe my disguise. The documents will speak for themselves." Abigail realized she had lost. Her anger turned toward Eleanor. "This is because of her." Adam's expression became severe. "Do not blame Eleanor for your choices. You have known her for days, and yet she showed me more honesty in those days than you showed me in a year." The words silenced Abigail. Later, Adam found Eleanor in the estate garden. She was standing beneath an old oak tree, watching the autumn leaves fall. "I have ended the engagement," he told her. Eleanor turned. "I know. Abigail will no longer trouble you." "That is good." Adam hesitated. "There is something else." Eleanor waited. "I want you to remain here." "As a maid?" "No." She looked startled. "As the woman I choose to stand beside." Eleanor shook her head slowly. "Your Grace, you do not know what you are saying." "I know exactly what I am saying. You are a duke. I am a maid." "I know. Society will ridicule you. Let them. My position will embarrass your family. Then they will have to learn that my happiness is not theirs to command." Eleanor looked away, struggling to control her emotions. "Perhaps you only feel this way because Abigail hurt you." Adam stepped closer. "That is why I discovered you. It is not why I love you." Eleanor looked back at him. "Love." Adam nodded. "I did not expect it. I entered this house searching for betrayal. Instead, I found the most honorable woman I have ever known." Tears filled Eleanor's eyes. She did not answer immediately. Adam did not pressure her. For the first time, he wanted her choice to be completely free and honestly. Finally, Eleanor whispered, "If I say yes, everything changes." Adam smiled gently. "Yes, but perhaps change is not always something to fear." She looked toward the manor, then back at him. "I need time. You shall have it." Adam walked away, leaving her beneath the oak tree. For the first time since his disguise began, he felt peace. The truth had cost him the future he once imagined. But it had also shown him a different future, one built not on titles, wealth, or appearances, but on trust. And soon, society would learn just how far a duke was willing to go for the woman everyone else had overlooked. Adam spent the next several days giving Eleanor the freedom she had requested. He did not pressure her, send secret notes, or ask servants to persuade her. For perhaps the first time in his life, He understood that love could not be demanded simply because a duke possessed the power to demand almost everything else. Eleanor remained at the estate, though Abigail's dismissal no longer mattered. Adam formally restored her position, not as Abigail's maid, but as a trusted member of the household. Still, Eleanor felt uncomfortable with the attention. Servants whispered about the duke's unusual interest, while visiting aristocrats wondered why a former maid was suddenly treated with such respect. Then Adam made his decision. He would end the engagement publicly. The announcement came on a cold November morning. Invitations to the wedding had already been prepared, flowers ordered, and arrangements discussed between both families. Canceling everything created an immediate storm among London's upper circles. Abigail's father arrived at Blackwood Manor furious. "You cannot disgrace my daughter like this," he shouted. Adam stood calmly before him. "Your daughter disgraced herself through her own choices. I am merely refusing to participate in them." The Earl demanded proof. Adam provided it. His solicitor presented the forged documents, financial records, and correspondence connecting Abigail's family to the concealed transactions. The evidence was sufficient to make even the Earl's anger collapse into silence. Abigail entered the room moments later. She looked at Adam with a mixture of hatred and desperation. "You promised to marry me. I promised to marry the woman I believed you to be. You have destroyed everything." "No," Adam answered quietly. "I discovered what was already broken." Abigail's eyes filled with tears, but Adam could not allow pity to replace truth. "You never loved me," he said. "You loved what my name could provide." She looked away. For once, she had no convincing answer. Adam could have exposed every detail to society. He could have ruined Abigail's reputation completely. Instead, he chose restraint. He gave the necessary evidence to her family and the authorities responsible for the financial matter, but he refused to turn private betrayal into public entertainment. Abigail eventually left the estate with her family. The great house became strangely peaceful afterward. But Adam's greatest challenge remained. He had promised Eleanor that he would never make her feel like a possession. Therefore, when he found her in the library that evening, he did not command her to marry him. He simply said, "I have ended everything with Abigail. I know. I also know that society will have much to say about us." Eleanor lowered her eyes. "That is what frightens me." Adam sat across from her. "I cannot promise that people will be kind. No. I cannot promise that your life as a duchess will be easy. No. But I can promise that nobody will ever have the right to make you feel inferior while I am beside you." Eleanor looked at him. "And if I cannot become the woman society expects, then society will have to learn to expect better." A small smile appeared on her face. "You make it sound simple. It is not simple. It is merely worth doing." Eleanor remained silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I love you too." Adam's breath caught. He had imagined those words many times, but hearing them from her made the entire painful journey worthwhile. Their wedding took place several months later, quietly and without the extravagant celebration Abigail had once planned. Eleanor wore an elegant ivory gown with delicate lace sleeves. There were no excessive jewels, no theatrical display, and no attempt to pretend she had been born into nobility. Adam wore a traditional dark formal coat and waited for her beneath the flowers of the manor chapel. When Eleanor entered, he smiled. Not because she looked like a duchess, because she looked like Eleanor. After the ceremony, Adam surprised everyone by asking Eleanor to accompany him into the servants' quarters before they left for the reception. She laughed softly. "Why are we here? I wanted to remember where everything changed." They walked through the narrow corridor where Adam had once disguised himself. He looked at the little room where he had hidden after hearing Abigail's confession. "I came here believing I was searching for a traitor," he said. "And what did you find?" Adam took Eleanor's hand. "You." She smiled. "Then perhaps the disguise was worth it." Adam laughed. "Perhaps." Their marriage did not transform Eleanor into someone else. She remained compassionate, practical, and attentive to people others ignored. As Duchess, she used her influence to improve living conditions for servants, establish a small school for poor children, and create assistance for families struggling through difficult winters. Some members of high society never accepted her. Others eventually changed their minds. The servants adored her. Adam often watched her walking through the estate, stopping to speak with workers by name. He remembered the first days of his disguise and realized that Eleanor had behaved with kindness, even when she believed nobody important was watching. That was what had captured his heart. One evening, years after their wedding, Adam and Eleanor stood together beneath the same oak tree, where she had once asked for time. The autumn wind moved gently through the branches. "Do you ever regret it?" Eleanor asked. "Regret what?" "Giving up the marriage society expected." Adam smiled. "I gave up a lie. I gained my life." Eleanor rested her head against his shoulder. Adam looked across the golden fields. He had entered Abigail's household disguised as a servant girl because he feared the woman he loved was deceiving him. He had expected to discover betrayal, humiliation, and perhaps a reason to hate. Instead, he discovered the truth. Abigail had wanted his title. Eleanor had wanted nothing from him except honesty. Abigail had treated servants as invisible. Eleanor had treated them as human beings. Abigail had seen his wealth. Eleanor had seen his heart. And so Adam understood that love was never measured by rank, wealth, or the approval of society. It was measured by truth, kindness, and the courage to remain when there was nothing to gain. He had entered the manor disguised as a servant, believing he was protecting his future. Instead, he had found the woman who became his future. Beneath the autumn sky, Eleanor held his hand, and Adam knew he would choose her again, without hesitation, in every life.